going to be exciting. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be fast moving, but a lot of good, simple recipes that I'm excited to feature. If you are comfortable using the chat, Aubrey just put a welcome message in the chat. Feel free to let us know where you are coming in from, where you're zooming in. If it's your first class, welcome. Excited to have you here. I have my lovely assistant and my colleague, Aubrey, who will be moderating. I will have a couple breaks throughout. So the first break, Aubrey will talk about her role. What was that? Holland? I missed that. Delaware. Aubrey will talk about her role, and then we'll have another break, and then she can talk about, oh, we always have something going on. We have the 5K coming up. We have some virtual events. So she will be able to talk a little bit about that. If you are not muted, go ahead and mute yourself. That way everyone can hear. And then once I get distracted, that's it. I'm like, I've lost my senses. So if everyone can stay on mute, of course, if you have something that you want to ask, feel free to take yourself off mute or put it in the chat. Aubrey will be breaking in if there are any questions. Sometimes I do catch the questions on the phone. So with that, before I get started, is there anyone that is cooking along with me or prepping along? Not doing much cooking.
It looks like we have somebody raising their hand.
Okay.
Hi, that's me. I'm only making 2 recipes. The lime something and something with yogurt.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so the coconut lime energy bites and the yogurt bark. So
Yes.
They'll be towards the end. Great. And I'm sorry, could I have your name if you're comfortable with that?
Sure, my name is Deborah.
Okay. That way I can give you a shout out if you're okay. And then, or if you don't want to come off mute, if you want to flag down Aubrey and she can have me slow down a little bit. So, all right, well, let's go ahead and get started. Again, if you're just joining us, welcome, happy to have you. I love doing 6 o'clock classes in the summer because it's still light out. It doesn't feel like I'm doing my class at midnight. These are my sweet treats. So one of the most popular questions that we get, and I know Aubrey would agree with me, is I have a sweet tooth. What can I eat? And it's easy to grab some candy, some chocolate, some donuts or whatever. I have an incredible sweet tooth. I love sweets. So not to say that we should not be indulging. Of course, we have to just be mindful of the how much and the where and all that. So what I wanted to do is put together some sweet treats that not only are sweet, so using a lot of fruit, but there's also a lot of nutrition, protein, and fiber. So it's like a win-win-win, right? Everything is easy to make. We're really just assembling. So I hope you get to try a few of these recipes. They're great for mid-afternoon snacks, something in the evening that's a little bit lighter after your dinner. So I hope you enjoy all of the recipes. If you have not attended one of the cooking demos, we always start with our food for thought moments. And what we do for our food for thought moments is we choose an ingredient for one of our recipes. Tonight, I will be highlighting coconut, which I think is so interesting because we know what coconuts look like, but we might not know exactly, where the fiber is, where the water is, So I'll talk a little bit about that. All of our food for thought moments are on our website. We have a wonderful nutrition hub. I know Aubrey will post that link in the chat, but in that nutrition hub are all of our food for thought moments. I will just be featuring one ingredient, but from all of our classes, we have them. And I think we started doing this over a year ago. So there are plenty to look through. Our food for thought moments are brought to you by our partners at Merck. Okay, so let's start talking about it. I obviously don't have a coconut, but I have my shredded coconut right here. So we know that coconuts grow in tropical climates, and they're actually the large seed. Crazy, right? That something so big is considered a seed. So it's the large seed of coconut palms. And the outside, that brown furry husk, we don't eat that. But once you cut that open, the first thing you have is the meat. So it's essentially what we're seeing here. The thick white part is the meat. So that's where all of the fiber is. That helps us with our digestion. It helps boost our immune system. It also has manganese, which is important for bone health and connective tissue. Then you go in a little bit further and there is the water, the coconut water. Excellent for hydration. Has those electrolytes like potassium, calcium, magnesium. And these electrolytes, we always need them. We need that for our blood pressure, for our heart health, and then, of course, to rehydrate. So when we think of hydration, we think of grabbing like a Gatorade or a vitamin water or water with electrolytes. So, of course, with the Gatorade and the vitamin water, we need to be mindful of added sugar. But if you don't want to spend a lot of money on all of those waters with the added electrolytes, try some coconut water, and you can cut that in half with water, and then you'll still get those beneficial electrolytes. So let's go back to the inside of the coconut. So let's talk about the meat. The meat actually has saturated fat. So when we think of saturated fat, we think of butter or the fat that is on our animals. But coconut also has saturated fat. So we need to be mindful of how much of it that we are eating. So saturated fats, we need to think of for our heart health. When we consume the meat, sometimes you'll see it like in thick strips. You can toss that into a fruit salad. Here I'm using unsweetened. Always try to get the unsweetened coconut, and I will be using this to coat our lime energy bites. You can put these into smoothies, and you can dehydrate this yourself. So this obviously is a dehydrated coconut, shredded coconut. Then we move into milk. We've seen cans of coconut milk. Instead of adding heavy cream to your soups to make it nice and thick, you can use coconut milk. You'll see low fat or full fat. I say go for the full fat because usually when you're making a batch of soup, you're not eating that entire batch of soup. So the full fat gives it a lot of creaminess. You'll see coconut milk in a lot of Thai dishes. You can mix it in with your rice. So it can definitely be a recipe staple. Then moving on to the water, I mentioned all of the good electrolytes in the water, but since it's water, of course, we can drink it on its own. We can add it to our smoothies, even your oatmeal, just to give it a little bit of moisture. Instead of adding milk, you can use coconut water. Last but not least, coconut oil. Oh my gosh, I feel like about a decade ago, coconut oil just exploded, right? So you can use this as a beauty product. You can use it as a lotion to soften your skin. You can use it as a makeup remover, use it to shave your legs. So there's a lot of different things that you can use, or you can put it on your body, and it's completely safe. So you can also use it for baking. So if you want a little bit of a different taste to your baking, you can try coconut oil as opposed to a canola oil. I have used it for popping popcorn. So if I use my air popper, I'll use a little bit of coconut oil and just give it a nice change. If you don't like the flavor of coconut, then I don't recommend using it in your baking or cooking because you do taste that. And I've also sauteed some greens with the coconut oil as well. So nice little change. And there you have it, our food for thought moment brought to you by our partners at Merck. I hope you check out the website to see all of our food for thought moments so far. All right, so let's go ahead and get started, I'm going to start off with my mini roasted summer fruit tarts. So if anyone wants to put in the chat, if they attended our virtual cooking 101 class last night, it was all about the berries. So I hope you learned something. I'm using these berries again. As we talked about last night, berries are very versatile. Any berries that I'm using here, you can switch out, okay? So the first thing that I'm going to do is prepare my baking sheet so I can roast the fruit, all right? Besides the berries, I am using peaches. So I used frozen peaches. I know it is peach season. I'm just gonna drain this water a little bit. I know it's peach season, but I just used frozen peaches to save me a little bit of time. Here I have my blackberries. Last night I made a blackberry vinaigrette, which is delicious. The recipe calls for raspberries. I did not like the way the raspberries looked, so I had some frozen cherries, and that's what I'm using. I love frozen cherries. I eat them just about every morning. I will mix it in with cottage cheese or yogurt. Okay, so I've got my 3 different fruits here. I caught a seed. Yay me, so I don't break a tooth, right? Glad I caught that. So be careful. If you are using fresh cherries and you want to get the seed out, you can use a straw, pull the stem off and poke the straw all the way through and the seed will pop out. So if you want to use fresh cherries. Okay, so I have some honey right here. So I'm going to add my honey. I have some cinnamon. Lemon juice. And some lemon zest. And in a few minutes, when I get to the limes, I'll show you what I did to zest my citrus. All right, I'm just going to give this a nice stir. Mix everything. You don't have to worry about smushing some of your fruit because once it bakes down, it will break down. And it's nice because if you're using berries that are not so sweet or not completely right, when you roast them, the sweetness will come in. I love the combination of peaches with berries. I think it's a nice twist. All right. So my next step is I decided to do 5 recipes, but when I was planning, I didn't think about I don't have enough space for ingredients with 5 recipes. So I'm going to be shuffling around my kitchen. So I have my oven preheated to 350. And as we know, when we roast, we just need to make sure that everything is in one layer so we can bake this evenly. I have an old baking sheet and I put parchment down. If you are going to use a newer baking sheet, I would wrap it in foil first and then put your parchment paper on. I'm okay with some of the sticky fruit baking on here because this is kind of, my junky baking sheet. I'm sure we all have one, like everyone has a junk drawer, same thing. Okay, so my oven is preheated to 400. I'm going to pop this in. And I'm going to start with 10 minutes. Of course, all of the recommended times are on the baking sheet. Everyone's ovens are on the recipe page. All ovens are different, and just with me doing class, and so I don't forget, I like to check. So I'll just do it for 10 minutes and see where that takes me. All right. So the next step is I'm going to be making the dough. So these are tarts. And what I have are these really cute mini tart pans. you don't have to run out and buy these. I used them for another cooking demo. If I didn't do cooking demos, I probably would not have these, but you can use a muffin tin as well. Or if you have a large tart pan, you can use that. If you have a pie dish, you could use that as well. So I'm going to make the batter for this, or excuse me, the dough. I have my bottom oven preheated to 350. So the first step here, I have some pecans. Obviously, let's talk about nut allergies. If you have nut allergies, you should not be eating tree nuts, right? So cashews, pistachios, almonds. If you do have a nut allergy, maybe try seeds. That could work as well, or maybe even peanuts. I don't know about the texture with that, but if you have any questions about allergies or if you want to substitute something, just let me know. So I have some pecans here. I toasted them a little bit in a pan. I just put them in a small skillet and just toss them around for a few minutes. And then that, when you toast it, it brings out that nice toasty flavor. Gives it a little bit of a nice flavor. So what I've done is I'm throwing them by themselves in my food processor, and I'm going to process it down to a fine flour. All right. Next, I'm going to be adding some oat flour. My recommendation, do not buy oat flour because it's expensive and not a lot comes in the bag. So what I do is I just buy oatmeal, the Quaker oatmeal or the store brand oatmeal. I put it in the food processor and I process it down. It's so quick and obviously less expensive. Okay, so I have pecans, I have my oat flour. Next, I am using dates. So I'm going to drain this real quick also. So I've had my dates soaking. You need to soak them for at least a half hour. I've had them soaking for a while because they need to get soft. It will be very hard for your blade, hard on your blade if they are not soaked. Plus, you want them to break down so the entire the entire dough is sticky. So I just chop them up with a knife. I've soaked them. I'm going to add them in. Dates are great to use for smoothies and baking because they're so sweet. And of course, there's fiber in them. So again, another bonus. I reserved 1/4 cup of the liquid that I soaked the dates in. So I've added that, and I have some melted butter here. I think I'm going to give it one more. No, I think this is good. So I have melted butter in here. It looks like a lot of butter, but again, this will make 6 tarts. We're not eating all 6 tarts. This is my favorite recipe of the 5. And it makes me feel like I can kind of bake. I'm really not a good baker. So I was pretty impressed with how easy this is to make. Okay. And a little bit of salt. Okay, so again, I have my dates, my pecans, my oat flour, butter, a little bit of salt, and then the liquid. Just going to get this all. Okay, so what you want to do is get it to a sticky consistency. If it's too thick, then maybe add a little bit of water to loosen it. If it's too thin, perhaps toss in some more pecans. Okay, so a couple strategies there. I can't tell you how good this dough smells. With the butter and the pecans, I could just eat the dough. That's how much of a sweet tooth I have. Because it does, once you toast it, it gives us a little bit of sweetness. So I don't feel that I am overindulging with pecans and oat flour, right? All right. So, Aubrey, I'm going to put you on the spot. My dough is mixed, so I'm going to start pressing them into my tart pans. It does take a minute or so. So, if you want to talk about your roll at Unite for Her.
Absolutely. And I feel like I can smell the dough through my screen. It sounds delicious. And Stelina asked if when you're done, you can show up close the finished product so that we can all see the tarts up close.
Absolutely. Yes.
Perfect.
Will do.
Perfect. Well, we'll let you get to molding. Hi, everybody. I know that I have seen a lot of you and talked to a lot of you before. My name is Aubrey Red. I am one of the senior culinary dietitians on the Unite for Her team. So same as Michelle, I am talking to our members each and every day for grocery gift card appointments, nutrition consultations, and I play a big role in our team's nutrition education initiatives. So we've been doing a lot of work this year to get a lot of education out to all of you. So I know I posted earlier the nutrition hub in the chat. I can post it again as well. It's our nutrition home base for all of our education. So our team has worked really hard on some FAQs. So if any burning questions come to mind, I can guarantee you it might be on our FAQs. Or if you're wondering how to manage a particular side effect, we have a really comprehensive side effect guide. It is near 60 pages long. Now, you don't have to download all 60 pages. You can go to page for your respective side effect. We've got nutrient guides if you're trying to eat more magnesium or potassium or get more iron because your hemoglobin labs are low. Definitely check out those nutrient guides, as well as it's just a central resource for a lot of research, education. We've got a lot on that home base. So definitely check out the Nutrition Hub. However, we also have lots of initiatives going on pretty much just all the time. As Michelle mentioned, we had our cooking methods virtual hangout yesterday where our entire dietitian team prepared some summer berries. We did one back in March and back in January where we did in March some dark leafy greens. In January, we talked about carrots. We already have our next one planned come September, so you'll see that come through as well. We love to share recipes and education with everybody in Unite for Her. And so we're always here just to be able to answer questions and to get you recipes and ideas. And so with that, let me ask Michelle, how are we doing? Do you need some more time?
Nope, I am good. So thank you. That was perfect timing. So if you saw, I was molding the dough into my little tart pans. Now, what we need to do is par bake them. So before I toss the fruit in there, number one, because it's not done rote baking, but we're going to par bake them a little bit so they can kind of set. And then I will add the roasted fruit in there, and then I'll bake it again. So that's what's going on. So while I'm waiting for the fruit, actually, it's going to stop in a few seconds. I'm going to see what's going on, probably flip my pan. Oh, so good. So good. The cinnamon, gosh, use as much cinnamon as you want. It really gives it a nice scent. In addition to the peaches, I smell the peaches and the cinnamon. So delicious. I'm not going to leave these in much longer. I'm just going to spin this around and maybe just a minute or two. All right, so next recipe, berry compote over sweet ricotta. So I am going to use berries again. I think these work really well. But again, whatever berries you want to use. So I have a large saucepan here, and I am using the rest of the cherries. Again, it was supposed to be raspberries, but if you don't like raspberries, use something else. You want to use cherries. I'm also putting in blueberries and strawberries. So before class, I chopped my strawberries up, and here are my blueberries as well. Everything's been washed. Dumping it right in. For the strawberries, you might want to just cut them in quarters or halves if they're smaller, just so it's easier for them to break down. I want to show you a little trick. I mean, with the tart pans and then this, you guys are probably thinking that I am one of those people that buys kitchen gadgets all the time. I don't. I forget why I bought this. But I want to show you my strawberry puller. So I have my strawberry here. I pull off the stem, and then you could see right there, you just push down and the little prongs open up. You push it down, twist, and then it takes the stem out. So the nice thing is this helps eliminate food waste, right? Usually we're just cutting off the top and then we kind of cut off some of the good part of the strawberry. If you don't have a strawberry puller or you have no interest in buying one, you can use that straw again. So if you have a metal straw, that would probably work. But you'll just put it in. You don't have to go all the way through because, you know, it'll probably come out the side. But if you put it through and then pull the straw out, it will take that stem out as well. So this over here. Let's see what this is looking like. Beautiful, beautiful. See what's going on down here. What you can also do with these little tarts, once you par bake them and before you load them up with the berries, if you find that the edges were getting a little too brown, you can put a little piece of foil on the outside so it doesn't burn while the roasted fruit is in there. So little tip. All right, so I have my I almost said vegetables, my fruit in here. I'm going to add some honey. You could use maple syrup as well. That would work. And I'm going to juice 1 lime. If you don't want to use a juicer, you can buy those cute little lime, the little plastic lime containers, or you can buy a bottle of lime juice. You could use lemon. I think you could even get away with orange as well. Little tangerines or mandarin oranges. Okay. That is it. This is a super easy recipe. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put this on the stove and actually bring it to a boil. You'll start to hear some of the juice down at the bottom come to a boil, and then I'll turn it down and let it simmer. It will take, maybe 10 to 15 minutes, and then all the fruit will start to break down. Aubrey, when you did the jam last night, didn't you do something similar where you cooked it on the stove, right?
Yes, yeah. I made raspberry chia seed jam at the Cooking Methods virtual hangout, and I put the raspberries over the heat and just waited for them to start to bubble and start to kind of thin out. They really just break down when you heat up the berries to make that kind of, compote like you're making.
Yeah, and even if you don't, you could just eat this as a snack, just the roasted fruit. I mean, there's so much sweetness in it that you could just eat that. If you don't have any ricotta or you don't feel like making tarts, perfectly fine. All right, so now I'm going to move on to the chocolate chip cookie dough hummus. Yes, I said it. Chocolate chip cookie dough hummus. I actually got this recipe from the American Humane Society. When I was working in food service, they would tour around to different facilities that where they provided food service. So, hospitals. Mine happened to be at a behavioral health center. So, schools and everything obviously would be totally plant-based, no animal products. This chocolate chip cookie dough hummus recipe I love because my son, when he was younger, well, he's still not a fan of beans, but I was always trying to get him to try beans. He actually ate this because he didn't know that it was chickpeas or garbanzo beans. It's a good way any way that I could trick him. And I know you're really not supposed to do that, but I did. So here I'm using my 2-cup food processor. It's great for making dips. When I did my vinaigrette last night, this is what I used, so I don't have to use that big food processor. I did cut this recipe in half. If you're doing the full recipe, you will need something bigger. Here I have some cashews. I've been soaking them. Make them a little bit softer. And don't get me wrong, he liked it because it was sweet, of course. All right, let's see what these guys are doing. Give it just a couple minutes. The center was kind of bubbling up. So if you've ever made pies or anything like that, you can put some, puncture it with yes, you can substitute other nuts. If you use a fork to puncture it, then it won't bubble up like that, but they're so small that it's just easy to use my hand. So the question about the nuts, did you mean for the cookie dough hummus?
I think so. It looks like it. And Eileen also asked, did you use raw cashews?
I did. So, yes, you can use any type of nut. You don't have to use cashews. I think walnuts, pecans, even pistachios. I think it will the cashews I like because they're a mild flavor. So if you do have someone who's going to pick up every taste and, the cashews might work better, but I think any nut, but they are, like I said, they are a little bit more mild. As I'm stirring this, I'm going to press down and try to start breaking the fruit up. Eventually, I am going to use the potato masher to really start breaking them down. But while they're still kind of firm, I want one flying out of the pot going across the kitchen. Okay, so I also added some oats. And here I have vanilla. All right, let me make sure I got everything. I have my beans, cashews, maple syrup, the extract, oats, and a little bit of salt. Yeah. Okay. I think these are ready. Side. Going to scoop some of the roasted fruit into these, and then, like I said, I'll put them back to finish roasting, and the tarts will cook a little bit more, and then the roasted fruit will finish off and really nicely will caramelize nicely on top.
They're looking really good, Michelle.
Smells so good. Smells so good. All right, since I'm left-handed, I have to swing myself out of the camera.
I love the flexibility of the recipe that you can really use any fruit that makes sense, you know? So seasonally, you could shift it to use whatever your preferences are and, you know, whatever you have on hand.
Absolutely. I think in the fall, using apples or pears, that would work well, and cranberries. That sounds really good. Okay, so here's what they look like before they go in. I'm gonna pop them back in. I want to go put them on top. Yeah. All right. All right, let's go back to the hummus here. I'm gonna add a little bit of water to this. It's looking it's not getting as sticky as I'd like. All right, I'm just gonna add a little bit of water. So again, to thin something out, add water. If it's too loose, then you can add the main ingredient. So if this was too loose, hopefully you'd have another can of beans, or you could add more oatmeal. There we go. So I am going to pair this with an apple. You can use pears. If you really want a sweet treat for kids, you could use little Teddy Grahams or graham crackers. But there's so much sweetness in this that you don't need to add that much more sugar to it, or more sweet, I should say. This is what I forgot to add, the maple syrup. That's why it was not loose. So I'm gonna stir it in. Aubrey, you didn't call me out on that.
I didn't see it waiting there in the background.
There we go. Now it's nice and good consistency. And for something like this, like when we're making a hummus, some people prefer it to have a lot of texture to it, so you might not be processing it all the way down. This isn't something that you want chunks. You really want to get it nice and smooth. All right. I didn't even add all the maple syrup. So if you don't want to, you do not have to. Last but not least, chocolate chips. I usually don't measure. I just kind of eyeball it. Let me just get this apple sliced or poured.
Stelina said they love seeing your fur baby hunting for crumbs every so often. I did notice her come through.
Yes, that's my Bella. And the funny thing is, when I'm doing recipes that are all vegetables, I really don't see her, but she must have a sweet tooth also. So we're going to turn this down. And once you turn the heat down on the compote, it will also start to thicken up. And potato masher. Oh, there it is. All right, so this is what I'm using to mash the berries. You don't need to mash them down and, where there's no texture at all. You do want that pretty texture so you can see it once you put it over the ricotta. All right, so I'm going to let that sit and it will thicken up, and then I'll finish that recipe. All right, we'll see where that takes us. Okay. So let me show you. Aubrey, you live close. Can you come help me clean my kitchen?
Absolutely. As long as I get some of the hummus, then I'll come over.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So here is the chocolate chip cookie dough hummus. I always go the wrong way. Such a nice sweet snack. Again, you're getting the protein and the fiber. So win-win. And the sweetness. That's why I did all this, because it's sweet. So there we go. There is chocolate chip cookie dough hummus. Again, the compote is thickening up, but while it's thickening up, I'm going to make the ricotta. You can do plain ricotta. You do not have to add what I'm going to be adding to it. So, all right, okay, the lime energy bites and the yogurt. Aubrey, did you catch anyone else? Does it look like anyone else is cooking along?
I don't think so. And nobody's mentioned anything, and nobody else is on camera that looks like they're cooking. So
Perfect. Thank you.
yeah.
All right. For the ricotta, I usually do purchase a part skim. I don't do the full fat because I feel like it tastes the same. And I will be tripping over Bella by the end of this class, trust me. Okay, so the recipe calls for 32 ounces, which is this. This is a lot of ricotta. So my store didn't have the smaller container, so I'm just going to use half, and then I'll find something else to do with it. Maybe make like stuffed shells or ravioli. Just kidding, I don't do that. I don't get that big. All right. So these are done. So I'm going to let them cool for a moment. Finish this off because I am going to need this other baking sheet. All right. So again, I'm completing the recipe, the berry compote over sweet ricotta. So I obviously have to make the ricotta sweet.
Do you think that you could serve this over like Greek yogurt even,
Oh
Michelle?
my gosh, absolutely. Absolutely. Cottage cheese. And if you are wanting plant-based, that's fine. We know that the plant-based industry has just taken off. So you could also do that as well. Okay, so I have some vanilla and I have some honey. Isn't this the best little spoon? It's my baby spoon. My first bite. My mom gave it to me when I had my son. My mom gave it to me when I had my son, and it's all metal because that's what was happening back then. And I said, Mom, I'm not going to use this because now they have baby spoons with the rubber or not the rubber, but the silicone, so it won't hurt his little mouth. And she was like, you're going to use your baby spoon. This is a special moment. So I had to use the old fashioned metal spoon. All right, so just part skim ricotta, some honey, and that's it. You could probably even toss in a little bit of vanilla. I have right here. Some vanilla in here too. So vanilla, honey, ricotta. So now we could think about, should we be serving this hot or cold? With the dairy, should be served cold. Obviously, the compote, once it sits in the refrigerator overnight, it will taste better the next day, of course. So then the berries will be nice and cold over the ricotta. However, think about raviolis and stuffed shells and manicotti. The cheese is warm, so it's okay if you pour the warm berries on top of the ricotta. So that's what I'm going to do right now.
I think half of the fun of these desserts too is getting to enjoy them out of a fun dish. Like you have all your beautiful dishes.
Thank you. I had to run the dishwasher because I had nothing. I was like, well, for my cooking demo, I better wash everything. Okay, so I have the ricotta here. Just going to spoon some berries that have thickened up. And, obviously there is this beautiful juice that comes along with it. So let me show you, see how it's all cooked down. Last but not least, I have some mint. And I have some crushed peanuts here. You could use whatever nuts or seeds that you would like. All right. There you go. All right.
Beautiful.
Any questions about that recipe?
I don't see any in the chat. However, if anybody does have any questions, you're more than welcome to pop off mute or pop them in the chat and I can read them out to Michelle. Jermaine said looks delicious. So
Good.
I agree.
So the nice thing about these little tart pans, there you go, Bella. The tart pans, you can pop off the bottom, like the bottom comes up. That's not explaining it very well. Let me show you. So it's two pieces, all right? And the piece goes right there. So when you're done, you just lift up and the tart comes out. Now, obviously, I still have that metal piece under there, but you can eat from that. That's no problem. Okay. So there it, right? After I haven't had dinner, so it's going to be a very sweet dinner. I'll have to control myself, but yes, these are fantastic. You can add a little bit of mint on top as well, just to pretty it up and add some color. Thank you. Okay, so Aubrey, I'm going to clean up a little bit to go on to the last two recipes. Looks like we're running out of time. The last two recipes are super quick. So as I change everything out, if you want to talk about any upcoming events, virtual events, fundraisers.
Absolutely. I always want to talk about upcoming events. Well, one thing that I neglected to mention when I was first talking to you all was a very exciting series that we have for the whole summer. So you may have seen it if you follow us on social media. And I know I was mentioning with Michelle, the fun of having a sweet treat is to eat it out of a fun dish. Well, what's more fun during the summer than having a nice beverage in a fun glass? And so we have created our Summer Sips series. Every single Friday throughout the entire summer, our dietitian team is coming to you with a new zero proof, meaning zero alcohol beverage recipe. So it is so fun. We have a lot of amazing recipes that are going to be coming out for these upcoming months, as well as we have some of our partners and bartender friends coming to our virtual hangouts that we have in June, July, August. So yesterday, we were joined by our partners at Ritual, which is a zero proof alcohol brand, and they showed us a drink and even gave a discount code. So if you're interested in trying any zero proof, zero alcohol spirits, definitely go to their website and use our code Summer Sips. The code is on our social media, so definitely find it there. But we've got a lot of great things coming to you. They have a lot of opportunities as well. And we just love being in this space because we know a lot of us are maybe pushed more to imbibe or drink during the summer. We're maybe trying to stay more hydrated. We're at more social gatherings. And so we wanted to provide everybody with non-alcoholic options that you can have and be really fun. So last week was our first recipe we posted, which was a dry tie, a play off of a Mai Tai. And I made that recipe and filmed the video, and let me tell you, it was absolutely delicious. My colleagues made some delicious recipes as well, so definitely give all of those a try over the next couple months. But otherwise, we have, just our fundraising events coming up in the fall. The summer is slower for us, which is nice. We can take a step back But in the fall, we have our 5K. For those of you who are local to Pennsylvania and the Westchester area, we have our 5K run, and I believe it's a 2K walk. And that is just a great event. You can join virtually as well. In November, we do Harvest, which is a chef and wine tasting where we also will have our friends from Ritual coming who are going to be showcasing some zero proof options as well. Always check out our events calendar. I'm going to go ahead and I'll put the events calendar in the chat so that you all have access to it in case you don't know where it is. But that's a great place to see our upcoming education series. So for example, our next cooking classes with Michelle and Aaron for July, August, but also our fundraising events and just any events too. So I'll post that in the chat and let me pause. Michelle, how we doing? Are you ready?
I am ready. Thank you for that.
Perfect.
Okay, Deborah, you are on. We're moving on to the coconut lime energy bites. All right, so here comes that that coconut that I was talking about. Just a few simple ingredients. All right. So I'm using almonds. Any type of nut will work. I have my dates. I soaked them as well. Again, though, it will be nice and sticky. I did not, the first time I made this recipe, I didn't soak my dates and they came out kind of crumbly. So I really recommend that you soak the dates. You can even soak the almonds as well. And put my coconut flakes right in. I'm going to mix this first before I put the lime. Aubrey, do you remember what Aaron's July, August recipes are?
You bet I do.
Yes. Hello, Dash and Mediterranean diet. That's right.
Yep. Yeah. So Aaron is dinner and a dash, which the dash diet is low sodium for hypertension. And then Michelle, what are your classes again?
Sorry, what was that?
What were your classes coming up in July, August?
So mine will be Eastern Mediterranean cuisine. So Mediterranean kind of covers a lot of countries. I'm doing Eastern Mediterranean. So I'm really excited about that. Full disclosure, I have not picked my recipes yet. That is on my to-do to start thinking about that. But I promise I will be all ready to go for July and August. Okay, so I'm going to zest my lime. This is a zester right here. If you don't have a zester, it's okay. You can use a cheese grater like that, the real small holes, and use that. My zester, as you can see, they do dull. I am ready for a new one, so this will probably go in the trash after after class. So I'm just going to zest this. Whenever you zest, and you can use this for garlic and ginger as well. Whenever you zest, you just want to take the green color off. You don't want to go down to the white pith because then it starts to get a little bitter. So you just want the green with those fragrant oils. And you can even do this, we talk a lot about, we get tired of water sometimes, putting some sliced fruit and citrus, even zesting a little bit of the citrus into your water would give it a nice flavor as well. Counter. And if anyone loves their zester, if you want to tell me the brand, and would love to know since I'll be in the market. And Deborah, I hope I'm not going too quickly for you.
She shook her head, nope.
Okay, good. That looks great. So I will show you how to roll them into little energy bites. Obviously, I will not do this entire bowl because then it would be your bedtime, at least my bedtime. Okay. Excuse me. That was half a sneeze. That's half a sneeze. All right, and we are winding down. Okay, so you take a little bit, whatever size bite you would like, just roll it between your hands, and that is it. It's kind of like, meatballs. You start off and you're like, oh, I'm going to make little tiny meatballs. And then by the end, they're like the size of softballs because you get tired. So that's all you do. If it's really sticking to your hand, wet your hands and it'll be much easier. But those are the little coconut lime energy bites. And once you put them in the refrigerator, they'll firm up a little bit. Again, make sure that you are soaking the dates. If not, you'll bite into it and it'll be a crumbly mess. Okay, so that is that. Hopefully, Deborah, you were okay with that. Last but not least, you guys will not believe how quick this one is. So what I'm doing is I'm bringing back my baking sheet, the good one, which looks like it's starting to turn into the bad one. All right, get my parchment paper. All right, so for this recipe, I'm using Greek yogurt. If you're not a fan of Greek yogurt, if you want to do regular yogurt, that's fine. Make sure it's unsweetened. You do not need to use any sweetener in this because your sweetness will come from the fruit. Greek yogurt does have more protein than regular yogurt, but again, some people don't like that tart taste, so it's completely fine. Whole thing will go in here. This is a great recipe because you can use any fruit, any nuts that you would like. So just trying to get away from the berries, I'm using tropical fruit. So here I have some maple syrup. Probably don't need to use all of it. Just gonna use a little bit of vanilla. Anytime that I use maple syrup, please know that you can also use honey as well. All right. So I decided to use mango and pineapple, all frozen. You could use fresh, frozen, like I did. You can even use canned. If you're going to use canned, make sure you drain it, give it a good rinse. Make sure it's packed in its own juices. I think canned is a great convenient option. Goes on sale. We always love a good sale, right? So again, mango, pineapple. I'm using pepitas. You can use, I've used pistachios. I've used sunflower seeds. You know, just kind of eyeball it. I could even throw some of the berry compote in here, the roasted fruit. That is it. If you could even put this in an ice cube tray and put little toothpicks and pull it out and make little yogurt pops. My dad's wife had popsicles. She bought like a silicone popsicle mold. You could use that. So make yogurt popsicles. And all I am doing is tossing this in the baking sheet. On the baking sheet. Spread it as evenly as you can. This is not supposed to be perfect. Just spread out. You can make it thick. You can make it thin. Whatever is easiest for you. What you could also do is instead of mixing it all together, which I've done and I'll show you, I just spread the yogurt out and I strategically placed all of the fruit on top. So it's sitting on top. So whatever you'd like to do. Whatever works best. So you could play around with this for a few minutes, but for the sake of time. So there is that. 3 hours. Everyone needs to come back in 3 hours at 10 o'clock and check it out. Show you one that I've made. When I made this one, so this is what it looks like. It will freeze and then you break it into pieces. Like, you know, at Christmas, we have all those barks, like the peppermint bark. So same thing, you'll break it up. And I used blueberries and blackberries, pistachios, and sunflower seeds. So whatever you would like, again, protein, fiber, and it's sweet. So all of these recipes have their own sweetness with added nutrition. This is great for when I don't have time to even make breakfast. I will grab a few pieces of these and sit at my desk and eat this as my breakfast. But all of these recipes that I made are great for afternoon treats. Like I said, after dinner, the hummus you can bring to a party, you know, make the full batch, cut up some fruit. So that is it. I hope you enjoyed everything. Let me bring everything out here. I hope you like the recipes. I hope you try them in about an hour. I don't know where the little, my kitchen is horrendous right now. You will get the recipes in an hour. If you've made any changes or you've switched things out because of allergies or likes and dislikes, please let us know. We love that. Send us pictures. Our communications team, still looking for those little energy bites. Our communication team, oh, there they are. Our communications team loves photos. So we can let our entire community know what we do, what we offer, all of our educational programs. So when you send pictures of what you made with your, oh, that's good. Yeah, hope you enjoy the bark. With your beautiful face, or if you're not comfortable, just send us pictures. It always helps us promote our program. It could show up on our web pages. So that's always fun. But here you go. I have all of my sweet treats. Thank you for joining. As always, any questions, let me know. Aubrey, were there any questions, or does anyone want to come off mute? Want to start
Getting a lot of love in the chat. And let me ask too, Deborah, do you have any finished products? I know you did some of the things that, take a little time, like the bark, but do you have any finished products you want to show us?
I have the energy bites, and I actually rolled them in cocoa powder. So they're on a sunflower plate. So a couple are powder, like cocoa powder.
That's beautiful. An unsweetened cocoa powder. I mean, that's great.
And then
That's
the others in the freezer.
Hi, Jermaine. Oh my, Linda, you look fabulous in that color.
Babies. Hi there.
Olga, thank you for joining us, Olga.
I love you guys' classes.
Oh, Jermaine, we love that you're here.
Yeah, I've been with you guys for about a year. I love it.
I remember. Yep. Tracy, and is it so it's Kundan? Is it Kudan? Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're absolutely welcome. Tracy, it's good to see you on. And then my thing is in the way. I can't see the bottom right. Starts with an S.
Why didn't it pick any of us?
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Aubrey. Everything looks delicious.
Thank you
As
for
always.
being here. Have a good night. Have a good weekend.
All right, thank you.
Take care.
So much.
Bye.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yes.
See you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.